Hello and welcome to this live broadcast from CGTN. I'm Martin Lowe. We're in Thailand at a place called Khon Kaen, and we're visiting the Lowe High-Speed Railway Institute. Now, this is a brand new organisation that's been set up jointly by two colleges, one in China, the Wuhan Railway College, and one here in Thailand at a place called Ban Pai. Now, the reason that they've set up this institute is that they are here to train the next generation of train drivers and engineers who will operate the new Thailand high-speed railway network. That network is currently under construction, and when it goes live, we're thinking about 2 years' time, trains will be able to travel at up to 250 kilometers an hour. Now, at the moment, Thailand's railway network is outdated and it hasn't really been improved for decades, and the current speed of trains here in Thailand is only at about 40 or 50 kilometers an hour. So there's a steep learning curve. They've got to create a whole new breed of train drivers who can cope with these super fast trains of the future. And one way they're doing it is here in a fairly novel way with the aid of a super new high-tech simulator. Now, we're all more used to flight simulators, which are used to train aircraft pilots, but now they've adapted that technology for the train drivers of the future. Let's go and have a look at one operating. So, as you'd expect, we have a driver sitting in a driver's cab, and in front of him, on screens both in front of his eyes and to either side, we can see the track unfolding before him. Now, this system can recreate and starting, but a number of different scenarios. It starts off obviously relatively. The trainees here are fairly new to this, so they're not experts at high-speed driving yet, so it probably won't be going at its full speed. But you can get the idea of how it operates, and this is something that's not been seen before in Thailand. Some of these exist in other parts of the world. But this is a brand new piece of equipment for Thailand, donated by the Chinese. The high-speed network that's under construction here in Thailand is a joint project between the two countries. China has the expertise. China is one of the world's leading exponents of high-speed railways. They've got extensive high-speed networks in China. Here in Thailand, we don't have any at all. We just have a fairly old railway system. It was formed probably 100 years ago. It's been maintained, but it hasn't really been upgraded. And across Thailand, trains are nice to look at. They're big and they're noisy and they squeal and they spew out oil. They're driven by diesel, but they're very, very slow. They're the slowest form of public transport here in Thailand. They're slower even than buses on the roads. All that, hopefully, is going to change with the advent of the new high-speed network. Let's have a word with the director of the institute, who can tell us a bit more about this system. And we need to go over here.
Yes.
I'm really confused. I think we're going over here.
Okay.
Kay's going to translate for us. Kay, can we ask the director, what can this simulator do?
ค่ะซิมูเลเตอร์อันนี้สามารถทำอะไรได้บ้างคะ
ซิมูเลเตอร์อันนี้สามารถที่จะจำลองสถานการณ์แล้วก็ฝึกหัดขับแล้วก็จำลองให้ผู้ที่อยู่ในส่วนของการบังคับควบคุมเนี่ยดูแลขบวนรถได้ครับ
So now the simulator creates the experience of virtual situation of how to drive and how to park the train.
What can the students do? What sort of controls can they operate?
เรามีการควบคุมหรือการดูแล operate simulator ยังไงคะ
การควบคุมตรงนี้นะครับดูแลก็มีครูนะครับในเรื่องของการให้แบบฝึกหัดนะครับแล้วก็มีส่วนของการผู้ฝึกหัดขับนะครับแล้วก็มีส่วนของ OCC นะครับซึ่งผู้ฝึกหัดขับเนี่ยจะต้องแก้ปัญหาเฉพาะหน้าได้ครับ
The simulator is operated by a teacher who will set up the virtual situation for the student to drive to park and also the OCC operation center to control the traffic for the drivers.
Now, I'm sure driving a train on rails is straightforward once you know what to do, but there are many hazards that can face drivers in real life. What sort of hazards can this simulator recreate?
ค่ะอย่างสถานการณ์ที่อาจจะเป็นอุบัติเหตุหรือสถานการณ์อันตรายในตรงนี้เนี่ยเรามีโจทย์อะไรให้กับนักเรียนบ้างคะ
โจทย์เบื้องต้นก็คือ 1. นกบินชนกระจกนะครับแล้วก็มีกิ่งไม้มีเศษไม้ทับเส้นทางแล้วก็แม้กระทั่งว่าประตูปิดไม่สนิทครับ
There is an example for the situation such as birds attack, tree on the tracks, and about the door that can be closed in time.
Okay, now clearly people who are going to ride these high-speed trains in the future want to know that they're safe and want to know that the operators are fully experienced. So clearly this is a first step. But do they go on from this? I mean, how much practice on real trains will the students get before they actually operate the new network?
ค่ะหลังจากได้มีการฝึกกับซิมูเลเตอร์แล้วเด็กๆจะได้มีโอกาสเรียนรู้จากรถไฟฟ้าจริงๆไหมคะ
แน่นอนครับหลังจากนี้เด็กเรียนจบที่นี่1 ปีก็จะไปเรียนต่อที่ประเทศจีนซึ่งที่นั่นจะมีสื่อการเรียนการสอนแล้วก็ของจริงให้ได้เรียนแน่นอนครับ
After the students study with the simulator for a year in Thailand, they will go train with the real train in China.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Let's go around here a bit and see a bit more of what's going on. So as you'd imagine, this trainee here is the student driver. Behind him we have 2 more student operators who are learning the system, and they're learning by operating. They're helping to operate the virtual network that the driver is experiencing, and then over on the other side of the room we have the instructor who chooses the programs and also makes sure everything is operating smoothly. Now the whole point of the simulator is to prepare people for this new high-speed network which is under construction. Thailand hopes to have quite a broad network in the coming years, but the very first track will run for about 600 kilometers from the capital Bangkok in the center of the country through the central plains and then up to the northeastern border with Laos at a place called Khon Kaen. We're at Khon Kaen, which is one of the final stops along the way. That's where the college is situated. Now, construction has begun for that railway. It's taking a bit longer than everybody initially hoped, but the engineers say, like every huge infrastructure project anywhere in the world, there are always teething troubles that they have to overcome, but they are both countries, China and Thailand, are committed to speeding up construction of the network. They're saying that the first half at least, they believe will be operating within 2 to 3 years. Now, as we say, clearly at the moment, there's nobody in Thailand who is equipped to drive these new high-speed trains. So that's where this college comes in. High-Speed Railway Institute has been set up specifically for this purpose, primarily for trained drivers, but also for engineers and other technical staff. Now, this particular simulator, although it is primarily designed for the high-speed network, in the meantime, it's also being used for Thailand's other types of electric trains. That's its underground system and also its system which links the airports in the capital Bangkok with the center of the city. So there are a number of different scenarios that can be programmed into the simulator. Sometimes we'll see the trains on the surface as they are now. Sometimes we'll see them going underground. That can either be used as a simulation for an underground metro subway network, or of course it's a similar scenario to when a surface train goes through a tunnel. The driver has very similar controls to those that he would have in the cab of an actual locomotive. He can stop and start, speed up, slow down. The screen will give him hazards, it'll give him red signals, green signals, and as they get more advanced, the operators can simulate very adverse conditions from extremely heavy rain, even snow. Not that we get snow here in Thailand, but it's part of the program. They can also simulate obstructions on the line, trees falling and hitting the cab of the truck, even somebody, a human being running across the railway tracks in front of them. They can simulate that so that they can prepare the drivers for any eventuality that might happen like that in their later careers. It's fascinating to see the students operate this equipment. They're getting more and more proficient, obviously, as time goes on, but they still find it a little bit daunting. I guess because they're being watched by their peers most of the time. Now they're on TV. This particular simulator was donated by a Chinese company, the Zhengzhou high-tech company, who work in association with the Wuhan Railway College in China. Simulators like this have existed in China for some time, but as part of this joint cooperation between the two countries, this one has been donated to Thailand. Of course, all of the controls and all of the instructions are in Chinese, so that's another thing these trainees have to learn. These are all Thai students, but a substantial part of the course that they undertake here is learning Chinese so that they can operate this simulator, but also a second part of the training they do after they've spent a year under instruction here in Thailand. They will go on to China for either 1 or 2 years more instruction and real life driving high-speed trains in China under instruction from Chinese engineers and Chinese instructors. So part of their course is learning Chinese so that they can better understand their instructors, ask questions and converse with them. So it's a 2 to 3 year course before they come out at the other end as fully trained, qualified train drivers. And that, of course, hopefully will coincide almost exactly with the construction schedule for Thailand's first high-speed railway network. So the drivers hopefully will be ready by the time the trains are delivered. Once you're actually in the driving seat and at the controls, it becomes a very engrossing experience, and the drivers, the trainee drivers, they really do get involved with what it is that they're trying to learn. Now, I've spoken to some of the students here who've been training on this. As you can imagine, they're very keen, they're excited by the use of the simulator, they're excited by the possibility of what lies ahead. Everybody is very keen to see Thailand's first high-speed network brought into operation. A lot of the people here are hoping that they will go on to become drivers of those first high-speed trains, but also some people here don't necessarily want to be drivers themselves. A lot of people here want to be engineers, but they need to learn about clearly how the trains operate so that they can be involved fully in maintaining and sorting them out in the future. So a lot to be learned here. In the future, Thailand hopes to construct a network of high-speed rails. It will connect ports and airports and other parts of the country. And the main route, the route that is currently under construction, in the future it's hoped will be the centerpiece of a railway, not just in Thailand, but what's being called a pan-Asian rail network. It's hoped that the high-speed trains will run north to south, the entire length of Thailand. At the top, the trains will connect with another high-speed railway being built by China in Laos, which will go through the country of Laos and connect with southern China. In the south, negotiations are underway to create an extension of the high-speed line from the southern Thai border through Malaysia and all the way to Singapore. That would open up, it's hoped in the future, a direct high-speed rail link all the way from China in the north to Singapore in the south. This is all being done as a key project. Certainly in Thailand, this is their number one project, although there are others, but this is their number one project under China's Belt and Road Initiative, this mega scheme that China has initiated to try to reopen the old Silk Road and the maritime Silk Road and create new connectivity and reopen further trading routes all the way between Asia, onto Africa and on to Europe. There are projects taking place all over the world. This is Thailand's major contribution, and it, as we've said, would be a central key part of that Pan-Asian, Trans-Asian rail network. But because of that, this is obviously a major cooperation between the two countries. China is one of the world's leaders at the building and operation of high-speed rail networks. They're extensively operated throughout China. They have a wealth of knowledge and expertise. The Chinese are building Thailand's railway and will supply the trains in the future. The Thais obviously are preparing the land and they will operate the railway once it's in use. But it's very much a collaboration between those two countries and it's something that's seen as a matter of pride. It's a blue ribbon scheme. The railway will be available once it's operating for both passengers and freight. It's hoped that it'll encourage more connectivity between countries, more visits from one country to another. They think the railway alone will bring another 11 million visitors a year to Thailand from China to go on holiday. It'll be a major contribution to road transport once it's bringing freight from one place to another. Also, of course, much more environmentally friendly. Now, at the moment, only around 2%, an incredibly small 2% of freight in Thailand is moved by rail, even though the cost of moving it by rail is only half what it costs to move it by road. But that's really because in the past few decades, the emphasis in Thailand has been hugely on development of the road network. Thailand has very good road connections, good road infrastructure, and although of course there are delays in the major cities for actual interprovincial highway travel, reasonable speeds can be attained. And that of course contrasts wildly with Thailand's existing very much outdated rail network. We mentioned that Thai trains at the moment are pulled by very, very old diesel locomotives. The passenger carriages are fairly basic. Some of them are just not very comfortable. The track also has not had the maintenance that it requires, and unfortunately derailments and delays are commonplace on Thai trains. All of the trains, I shouldn't say all of the A great many of the trains run late, and the entire network runs at a loss. It's a very, very slow form of transport, only an average of 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. Long journeys can take 13, 14, 15 hours. Really, the only people who use the train network in Thailand at the moment are those who are looking for a slow journey, if they're perhaps holiday makers and they're not in any rush to get somewhere, or for the Thais themselves. The existing railway is very cheap. The fares are very low. So for those people who can't afford more expensive forms of transport, it does give them an option. But it's very, very much at the cost of speed. It's a very, very slow network at the moment. So people are very much looking forward to the advent of the new high-speed rail. It will be quicker, it will be safer, it will be more comfortable. A big question mark, of course, will be whether it's affordable. But people who are involved in creating this network are aware of that concern, and certainly as it stands at the moment, it is being promised that the fares will be within reach of the people who want to use the network. Okay. Let's try and interrupt the driver and see if we can make his task even harder by getting him to talk. Could we just ask this driver of the future how he feels about operating this? How much of a realistic experience does it give him?
ค่ะน้องคะพี่รบกวนถามเลยนะคะอย่างหนูได้ขับซิมูเลเตอร์แล้วเป็นยังไงบ้างแล้วเรารู้สึกว่ามันเหมือนจริงขนาดไหน
ก็เหมือนจริงเกือบ 100% นะครับแค่มันไม่ใช่เป็นหัววัดจัดเฉยๆนะครับ
He said that it's almost 100% real train. It's just not a real train, as we know.
And what do his controls operate? How much control over the virtual train does he have?
ควบคุมยังไงบ้างคะ
ถ้าดันขึ้นไปก็คือเพิ่มความเร็วนะครับแต่ถ้าดันขึ้นมาก็คือเบรกนะครับผมจะดูสังเกตตรงนี้ตอนนี้เซตความเร็วไว้ที่60นะครับคือขับไม่เกิน60กิโลเมตรต่อชั่วโมงแล้วต้องเลี้ยงความเร็วเรื่อยๆครับผม
So he will use this for driving, push it forward to drive, and they set the limit to 60 kilometers per hour, so they will be not that fast. And if they push it backward, it will be slow.
Yes, I understand that clearly they're new to this, so they're not going at full speed yet. Does this particular student hope that in the future he might drive one of Thailand's high-speed trains?
วันหนึ่งอยากขับรถไฟความเร็วสูงไหมคะ
อยากครับผมอยากจะรู้ว่ามันจะเร็วสักแค่ไหนครับผม
He said he really wants to drive high-speed train in the future. He wants to know that how fast they can be.
Okay, great. So as we said, there's a lot of excitement about the possibility for the future. This will be a major boost to Thailand's transport network. It's the missing link, really. It has very good road connectivity. It has a very good domestic airline network. This is the missing piece of the puzzle, really. Once a fast, efficient, comfortable, safe train network is in place, that will complete the transport infrastructure. So, I hope you've got some idea of how this works. As we said before, people are very familiar with flight simulators to train pilots, airline pilots, military pilots. This is adapting that technology in the same way, but it's a new development here. It's something that the students are very much appreciative of, and I think it's a fascinating development, and it's another step along the route towards that Belt and Road initiative, that Belt and Road project to transform the railway network here in Thailand from what is currently an out-of-date, poorly equipped, fairly unsatisfactory service to one that in the future will be fast, will be comfortable, will be safe, and hopefully will be comparable to a network anywhere in the world. So for Thailand, a major step forward. And this is an integral part of how they're going to go about it, training the next generation of drivers and operators for that high-speed rail network. So that's it from here. We hope you've enjoyed this short insight into the workings of the Luban High-Speed Railway Institute here at Khon Kaen in Thailand. Thank you to them for letting us film this. Thank you to the students for letting us interrupt their day. And with that, we'll bring this broadcast to a close. Join us again next time. We hope you enjoyed it.